Liam Noman healing update. I reported my neighbours to the police today. As healing trauma, my journey of healing trauma and the pain of my trauma and my life and what I believe to be the autism that I have means that when I'm stressed, my brain feels like it's been blown apart. And last night I played a nice song for my neighbours, because neighbours obviously hear each other and they live with each other. And I think I've lived in this property for a year, but I've just lost track of time because I've been living in a void of the most unimaginable pain possible. And I reported them to the police when I first moved in. I've had lots of... I've had a few arguments with them or interactions with them that have been horrible. I tried to return to peace, but what's going on next door is domestic violence, and I'm so sensitive to violence because I've survived as a child sex slave and a satanic ritual abuse survivor and a person who was forced to rape his girlfriend in his 20s to stop the system killing my little brother. I've also been in domestically abusive situations or relationships. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've healed my shadow as much as a person can, and I tried to be a good person. I come from a family of evil people, a lot of crime. I was taught to steal from a very young age. I'm on my own, and I tried to live a spiritual life. I'm imperfect, but I tried to be a good person. And I played the Neighbours theme tune yesterday on my speaker. Everybody loves good neighbours. Because obviously when I'm not stressed and triggered and skids and trying to survive every day, I'm quite a peaceful person with a good sense of humour. I was brutalised as a child, but I think I have quite a childlike nature. My mouth's always dry, but I assure you I've not been taking drugs. I've been drinking energy drinks while I've been in this healing space. Not too many. And I had 2 allergy tablets recently, when you're supposed to have 1 a day. That's how gangster I am. But I reported them to the police today, and I knocked on his window. He's called Jamie and she's called Chanel, and I was at my limit, and I've been counselling myself not to offer him a fight, and it tests whatever's left of my manhood, listening to that chaos next door and another person being unsafe. I think they're both unsafe because they're hurting each other, but what I hear, it sounds like he's hurting her with violence, and she's screaming, and all of that is hurting me. So I screamed in my property again, everything I've been through, and I screamed some other things to him through the wall because I can always feel their energy. One of the things I shouted was how much violence has clearly already helped them. I also shouted the crime reference number out the back of my property, out the front of my property, and I gave the number plate of their car, which is a Volkswagen Golf, and walked around the car. I had my food in my property, which is beans and bread and, well, beans on toast with eggs and a cup of tea. And that was difficult for me to do because, again, that was difficult for me to do. So many connotations with the trauma and the evil things I was forced to do, such as being under the unimaginable pressure as a 20-year-old guy or man with the proposition of you have to rape your girlfriend for your family who are a satanic murderous paedophile network, or we are going to kill your little brother. Rape Rebecca, who you love, or we'll kill Miguel, who you love. You choose. I've got my trousers on today. So I've got enough food to last me the weekend. I spoke to a member of staff at Cypher again today. And they're supportive, but they're supportive at a distance. And everything seems so far away. And the reflection I get from them makes me feel sort of de-skilled or disabled, and it amplifies my healing situation of immense pain. Oh shit. But I know they're trying to help me, and I know that when a person is suffering, they have a sort of, not necessarily a warped perspective, but they have a perspective that's different from other people. And I'm on a waiting list. So the member of staff, that's Cypher, Jamie, she's also called Jamie, same as my neighbour, but it's a female Jamie, has advised what they can do to help me, which doesn't seem like an immediate fix. I think it's allocating me with a care coordinator, hopefully a meeting next week, and somebody who can help look at the form with me. But that's annoying with the PIP form, because I've been through see, I can express myself without feeling disabled here so much. I went through a process of living in another triggering property with lots of lessons, because I'm so sensitive to noise and have various triggers, such as children are very triggering to me. So my last property, there was a family they had children who lived next door, and it presented like a lot of lessons and a lot of triggers, and I felt like the dad was quite an aggressive character, and I had paranoia that he would maybe thought I would be a risk to the children, and then some of my issues came up around the kids, especially one of the children, and I think something that the mother did she left me in the garden when the three girls were in the other garden next door, and it was really triggering, and maybe they were teaching me something about my energy, I don't know. But maybe that thing that she did helped me remember being forced to rape my girlfriend in my 20s, because it triggered my energy, and I think that was one of the catalysts that helped me remember. But obviously being a child sex slave and fed all of these messages about what the network do to children and what they want you to do to children, and I'm so conscious of like licking my lips and being judged. And there's a school coming up soon, Stepney Primary School, and I think I gained some confidence recently by being actually able to look at the school logo. Um, so it was just that my last accommodation was a hell. This accommodation is a hell. I shouted in my garden, I just want to relax. I eat food like most people. I don't think I shouted about eating. I shouted what I was eating, and that was skint. Actually, I could go to... Oh. And my grandmother, who sold me as a child sex slave, whenever she was sad or she would cry, she would smile afterwards because she'd got people around her to pander to her evil shadow. And sometimes I'm conscious about my shadow because we all have a shadow and can be aware of the gratification that we get from people responding to our issues. But I don't think I crossed over into being lost in that shadow. Oh God. So I said I like to watch Star Wars, play my Buddhist music. I'm a peaceful person, I'm healing hell. I can't blame, when we blame, we take our power away. So I said sorry to one of my neighbours for shouting, who runs the antique shop next door, Kevin. I said I have to take responsibility for my actions. I said, but I'm confident that if they weren't living next door with the domestic violence, people would hear much less from me. I like to play my Buddhist music, watch Star Wars. I do my artwork, drawing, colouring at the moment. I'll go to paints again soon. I make mala beads. I've always got my cousin's children. I used to call them nephews. Technically they're my half cousins as per the family tree. I always have them in my head, intrusive thoughts, and it's really disturbing to me. They were a big part of my life, and the network targeted the children in my family, and I was possessed under mind control for many years, especially when they returned in my adulthood, and it just makes daily living a hell. My manhood's fucked because I was forced to rape my girlfriend. My right testicle's damaged. It's a repressed memory, but they tortured it as a boy. Obviously my right eye's damaged. I can't even masturbate without having horrible intrusive thoughts. And it's just so disturbing every day. Jamie was helpful, but helpful to the degree of help that she was able to give me and the boundaries that she needs to keep in place to protect whatever support is due to me. I was going to go back to home-based treatment. I've included a member of staff who was helpful, Laura, in some emails I've sent recently to the mental health support services. I've also emailed the police with a copy of my healing update video, and I think I said thanks for the all-day breakfast. But it's just so hard staying alive. And one thing I said to Jamie, I didn't obviously want to threaten to take my life if they don't help me, because that's a shadow I don't want to get lost in. But I said, I understand a lot of people take their life because then when they've killed themselves, people understand. Gone now, bye. But one of the key reasons I stay alive is for my little brother, to keep my light on. Even though we might not speak again, you know. God willing we will. But as long as he's here, safe and happy, that's the most important thing to me. Safe, you know. Not like the safe that was in our bedrooms when we survived living in a house which was part of a satanic murderous paedophile ring, with uncles fucking putting pornography in your safe and always visiting and opening your door. And then when you've been a quote-unquote uncle and you see how, even though you've not been a sadistic monster to the kids in your family, you see behaviours and patterns. This is how powerful I am as a soul, as an unlicensed spiritual healer. What I'm going to show you now is some stickers that I put up to keep me alive. the camera's front facing. So I'm having faith that you can see, or that you've been able to see, that's a Stormtrooper sticker. And I think some of them have come off these lampposts. I once put a sticker on one of the lampposts near my neighbours who have kids, and then I went into a big mental health episode about it's easy to think of yourself as a perpetrator because behaviours and patterns are learned, and I'm just a child. Like when I was living next door to the family, I just wanted to be part of a family, really, like so subconsciously, and I wanted the children to be safe, and I was scared of the dad's energy, and then I was scared of how some of the children triggered me in different ways. And obviously I've spoken to my former therapist. I won't name my therapist, I'll protect her. Another Star Wars sticker. So I've been on my own in this hell, fighting against the satanic murderous paedophile network, choosing my moves carefully, sending like various emails and sometimes posting things and visiting people and changing the energy for the truth to emerge. And obviously what they try to do is condition you with the truth that it's all your fault. Darth Vader. Yes, I was going to go back to the home-based treatment and ask for some petty cash, but I don't want short-term gains to impact my treatment and to affect things long-term. Yeah, Darth Maul. So I want to have the courage to stay with the long-term, just to wait for to be supported. Well, one of the intrusive thoughts I have in my head is just, and it comes at the most inappropriate time, is switch to my cousin's youngest child. I'll give an initial to protect the child, initial Z, and I know from some of when my uncle, who I signed the community resolution order for to stop naming him in videos, satanic, murderous, paedophile, James Smirk, come and arrest me, fucking hell. They just did so many horrible things which they're trying to get you to harm a child sexually. So he used to get, I'll give him a false name, Zach, a name to protect him. Zach used to get excited when I'd get the hamster out the cage. And obviously what my uncle did, Uncle James, they would always think about your life and everything and what you're eating and who you're with and what you're buying and where you're to get breaking into my bank account and buying things for me and putting things in my bathroom, special soap, and being on the phone to me while I'm masturbating and just all this horrible stuff. And this sticker's like a bit ripped. So I think one of the things he was said to do is to keep showing him the hamster more, so he got excited and get a video of it, and then to show one of my colleagues at work. And obviously I'm a strong, gifted, empathic person, but I'm also fractured, tortured, weak and vulnerable. And then looking back on all these horrible things, and I had to buy him some shoes, or they'll think I don't care. And then you just think that what they're trying to do is that they're trying to bind an adult's energy with a child's energy. They're trying to get the poison to continue, to give them some sort of justification or that it's real. There's another There's a railing over here where I carved my name at 3 different moments of my life. I think one was when I binned some things that my pedophilic mother had got me, which bind me to the family, of a watch for one of my birthdays, a leather case for interviews, and something else. I think another time when I was going to the Lake District to heal and to sort of expose trauma, run away from everything, and also heal the darkness within myself and let other people heal by letting the darkness play itself out without it all being blamed on me. Even though obviously I made mistakes and I had a role. So it's my name, you might not be able to see, but there was a love heart. Liam, 24th of the 5th, 19, 26th of the 10th, 21, 26, I think that's 11, no, 26, 12, 22. So I've been through hell. There's another 2 stickers at a safe space where there was a burnt out safe, which I think the network have been tracking me and they've put that there because that's one of my safe spaces and it's a very random thing to be there. They always know where you are. They always know where you live, obviously. And one of the things I sent to my uncle Neil Beadle, who he was essentially handed the paedophile empire from his mother Leslie Sargent, I sent him a picture of my balls. Well, obviously they're 1.5 balls because one of them's just, they were always with me because my friends used to hear it when I laugh. I can feel it, I'm jammed, they did something which always keeps them in control of me. And I said I'm ready for every single one of you. I told him where I live to take the power away from them. And I counsel myself not to go to the shop because the anger and rage I have towards him is the anger and rage of like, if someone has tortured you as a child sex slave and you don't have thoughts about killing them, then you're not human. So obviously I have to have, or seriously harming them when they're part of an empire who's fed you shit, tortured your fingers to keep you quiet when you're at school, and you suck your uncle's dick every night when he drives you out in the car, lick menstrual blood from your mum's fanny, fed shit, forced to kill kids as a satanic sex slave, forced to rape your girlfriend in your 20s, and you have to threaten her with a hammer and use petrol and everything else they've provided you to get rid of the evidence. They're always with you and laughing because nobody will know. It's horrible. And then God willing my youngest brother will make it. It's a different energy with my middle brother. I'm not saying he won't make it, but my middle brother's an incest child from my mum's stepdad, who was part of the group of people responsible for the murder of Lee Smirk on Amberley Close. I think this was in the 70s, but it was when my mum was a kid. So my middle brother's energy, karmically, of the hate he came from, and to keep my mother rebound with a silence, especially after having an ethnic child in like a white supremacist family, and then being lied to his whole life about who his dad was, that his dad was my dad, who was dark skinned. This is obviously, and being pitted against me, and given all my energy as a boy, which there's some icky stuff there which I have to heal because we came from an incest family. But looking at an old photo of us in the quilt on the settee, he's smiling with the art stuff and I'm not smiling with my head back. And there's so many times in my life of just not being able to smile in photos, or my life won't be worth living because you're owned by a satanic murderous paedophile network. And I never thought, looking back at that photo, I never thought like, why aren't I smiling on that photo with my art stuff, because I loved art. So really that was one of the most damaging things. I'm not going to name my brothers. To my middle brother, I'll name my brothers. My middle brother's Joshua and my youngest brother's Miguel. But that was one of the most damaging things, I think, to Josh. Not only whatever hell they made him do, because we were separated at times, and I think a lot of the times when I'm triggered about kids, it's like it's my shadow's way of blaming myself for stuff that happened to me when I was a kid, which I don't have the courage to remember at the moment. And I was in a letting go space yesterday, and I kept going to a container as a child, because that's what they do as rituals. And I think I was put in containers, and I was really, really tortured as a kid. I'm confident they tried to kill me on more than one occasion. And I was like, fuck this, I'm not going to this container anymore. But you can't get away from it. And then I had a vision in my dream of like a torso, which was probably James Smeck's torso with an erect penis. And I just could never get away from it. It was always trapped in me. And then I see little Zach's face. Again, it's a false name. And like, I can see... I don't need to be scared to say that I can see his innocence or his essence. I can see how the system works and what they were targeting in him. And I can see what they see. And it's just horrible. And I think I also carry within me any other trauma that's happened to the kids from other family members. I think I blame myself for that. And it's just so horrible. So I think one of the most damaging things to Josh was the false love that he got from my mum. While I got all the hate, the false love that he got from my mum, and I got all the hate, and then it was like she gave him all of my confidence, and he wasn't told who he was. Obviously the damage of my mum having an incest child, and possibly I'm also from a rape, you know, my mum went through it, but she still became who she became. So that was so damaging to Josh that they helped him just become I don't want to call him a prick because he's my brother and I love him and we used to argue a lot. But he just didn't have very much compassion. Obviously he had a lot of pain and he was quite sarcastic. But then with that, that just enabled them to set him up for any other hammers to fall. For them to force him to do unimaginable acts. And one thing that I'm confident that they did to my mum is I'm not suggesting they've done this to any of my brothers because I don't want to put the heat on them, even though I've had a lot of fears. But I know in my soul they use guns. A gun and a child. And they say you take the child's innocence or you lose a life, and I'm confident that you lose your life, and I'm confident my mum had those sort of binds when I was a kid. So I'm at my safe space now where I put the safe in the water, and again pointing, something the paedophiles get you to do. And when I went out with one of my friends, my best friend and his child, my uncle was, oh, you've got to get him pointing. Get a photo of him at the Fields pub or the pub near Anlaby with the Iron Man. Get a photo of him, get him beaming, get him smiling, and then put a little thing on the artwork so you've got him in the artwork. Draw your nephews, quote unquote half cousins. Draw the children in your family, and then draw them. Draw them, and then leave semen tissues in the drawer while you're possessed, because we're getting you closer. We're getting you closer. We'll get you that close that you can't even speak about it. It's satanic. So I've survived, and all I want is a CPTSD diagnosis, because it's a fact to have CPTSD, and if I have the diagnosis it'll help me on my pathway of feeling empowered to have an autism assessment, a neurodiversity assessment. I'm confident I'm autistic, and to have the correct benefits, hopefully personal independent payment allowance and the limited capabilities for work related activity group, And I'm just so at my limit. But then I don't have a limit because I was raped and tortured and trafficked and forced to kill children and suck my uncle's dicks and menstrual blood out my mum's fanny and do stuff with my brothers and horrible stuff. So it's like Liam doesn't have a limit, and Liam can't kill himself because he has to stay for his little brother. So I just want people to help me, and I want my neighbours to just stop shouting so I can just draw and eat and relax and just draw without being semen involved. I'd like to be able to masturbate one day without having to fucking have horrible intrusive thoughts of the children from my family in my mind. I'm fed up. And then I've got Jamie asking me what I bought from the shop and how certain things from Cypher don't add up to £20. And we came to a decent ending of the conversation, really, because she honoured herself and I honoured myself. And I feel like I'm having to explain myself, that people maybe think I'm a drug addict. I know I've had family members from the Eid side of the equation who have said that they had rumours that I was a ketamine addict. And I used to take ketamine in my early 20s. Like most young people, they tried various different recreational drugs. I didn't take ketamine of any sort of... I tried it sometimes with my friends, but I'm confident family stole a large inheritance from me. My granddad's Cyril Noman, that was a big lie in the family, and they put all this shit on me, and obviously I fought against the paedophile network, and everybody just wanted to crazy make me because I had nobody. So I think this is my final healing update for June. And then what, more problems, and then I've said final updates, I can't talk anymore. I'm hoping this is my final healing update for June. Thanks for listening. Bye.